Our long national nightmare is finally over. The NFL referees are back to work. No more blown calls ever. And thank God. Welcome into the Sporting News Studios. I'm Tom Vandervoort with our NFL editor, Scott Ridge. Scott, we sat here just the other day and we said maybe now is the time to make a deal. Does this deal happen without Monday Night Football and that blown call at the end of the game?
I don't think so. That was a tipping point pretty clearly. And it was unacceptable for the owners to sit there and watch the outrage that we saw on social media, and the depth of it, I think, is what turned the tide. It was just such a badly blown call and an easy one to make that they finally came to their senses. And, you know, concession is a good thing. Sometimes you just got to find that middle ground. They did it. Thankfully, we can get back to the business of watching professional football at all levels on the playing field. Now,
let me ask you this. If we think about 3 weeks of the season with the replacement referees, we certainly had our share of moments. How does that, is there any damage from this going forward for the league?
To the Green Bay Packers, yeah, certainly, because if they don't make the playoffs, everybody's going to wonder if they'd gotten that call right, would they have made it? And how they react to that call from Monday night. I don't think they're going to be able to just put it behind them and say, hey, let's forget it. They're going to try to, but the fact is they got one win taken off the board. And in a competitive NFC, especially the division that they're in, there's going to be a ripple effect. It could come down to the game that cost them a playoff spot.
Now, one thing I said at the beginning was no more blown calls ever. Of course, that was a joke. We are going to have some blown calls. How does this change the scrutiny? Now that we've gone through this, how does it change the scrutiny that the regular referees are now going to be under?
That's a great point. The regular referees are going to be intensely scrutinized for their first set of games, because everybody is just sensitive to blown calls. And even on the best of Sundays, it's hard to call properly pass interference, personal fouls, head-to-head hits, holding, and getting all the replay rules. Now, yes, the players' complaint was the speed of the game was compromised because the referees, replacement refs didn't know the rules up to the degree they should have, and these guys do. But we all know they're human and they make mistakes. And they're going to get called out because everybody is looking for the flaws that we've seen from the replacement refs.
Now, one thing we talked about with the replacements, as you said, the kind of game management issues. Do they get now kind of some cooperation from the coaches, from the players that they weren't getting before? Is there a grace period in a way when they come back?
If they don't, then the players and coaches are going to look pretty whiny to fans. So, we'll find out what the relationship is between the regular officials and players and coaches. It's not going to stop complaining. And players, it's an emotional, testosterone-fueled game. There's going to be a lot of that shoving and pushing. So you may see some more personal foul penalties. But that's, in theory, the regular officials know how to manage that stuff we're going to see.
All right, and last question. The NFL has been known, especially lately, as a league that dictates terms. You've said it yourself. We've watched it happen. Does this change at all that perspective, the perspective of the league on itself and how it relates to some of the other stakeholders?
Well, I would hope that the league would acknowledge kind of the voice that fans had in all of this and really be more sensitive to what they want from the game of professional football. I just think that the outrage was so vast. Even President Obama weighed in on it via social media. So I hope that the league is a little bit sensitive, and maybe this is a little bit of a reality check for Roger Goodell, who has had that kind of judge and jury knock against him.
And executioner.
And maybe he'll step back a little bit when it comes to some of the other issues that he has to deal with in terms of player conduct and things like that. So I feel like there's going to be change in the game, even beyond just what the replacement refs brought to the table in making this deal with the regular officials. I think you're going to see other changes that I suspect the NFL is going to be a little bit more responsive on some of these issues.
Well, there you go. So in the end, maybe it could be a good thing that we went through all this. For Scott Ridge, I'm Tom Vandervoort. Thanks for watching.